You're listening to Modern Day Mirror, a podcast where storytelling meets spiritual reflection. I'm your guide, Cecilia, here to hold space for your stories and the unseen messages they carry. Once a story is spoken, I tune into your spirit team and offer the messages they most want you to hear. Because your story isn't just a memory, it's a mirror. A mirror for where you've been, what you've carried, and what is ready to shift. This space is for the curious, the ones sensing there's more beneath the surface. Welcome in. Hi everyone, welcome back to Modern Day Mirror. I am still getting over a little bit of a cold, but I was so excited to connect with you on the pod today. So thank you in advance for hanging in there if I sound a little bit stuffy this episode. We talked about giving this community, this platform, permission to explore and pivot and have fun. And along those lines, I was feeling called to record a solo podcast today. One of the reasons I feel so passionate about people exploring and reflecting on their stories with the help of spirit is because I have done so myself. I continue to do so. It's an amazing healing modality that I think people are not yet as conscious of. And what I mean by that is you might go to a Reiki practitioner or a cognitive behavioral therapist or a yoga instructor even, right? And there is this baseline understanding that you're going to this person to help shift energy so that you can get rid of the old and welcome in more of what feels aligned. Storytelling does that too. And I thought, what better way than to continue to share examples in my own life of this with you? When I was a kid, I used to tip glasses over at restaurants a lot, which sounds oddly specific, but these memories are ingrained in my brain because it was always a special occasion when we were out. I still am the oldest of 4 kids in a family of 6. And so it was, kind of expensive for us to, anytime we wanted to go out to the movies or go out to eat. And I always felt like I ruined these experiences because I was so clumsy. I can remember tipping glasses over. Obviously, this is not intentional whatsoever, but without fail, some way, somehow, an elbow or a hand would graze the side of a cup, and orange juice or soda would go flying across the table. And I can clearly still remember the side of my dad's nostrils kind of flaring because he was so irritated. I mean, this happened a lot, folks. And my mom would very patiently, go to quickly help me pick up the mess. And I think she was a little bit torn because she used to be a server. And so she knew that somebody was going to come in behind us and have to clean up this sticky mess. And my mom also used to tip glasses over at restaurants when she was little. What are the odds? It seems like every time one of these glasses spilled, it planted a seed for the idea that my body could not be trusted. Because I didn't want this to happen, and yet inevitably, it always did. And then that seed, it began to grow roots and sprout in different ways over the years, whether I was tripping over my feet on the playground at recess or getting picked last for a team at PE because I wasn't very fast or coordinated, or whether I was striking out at bat at my family's slow pitch softball league. I unfortunately just had a really distrustful, is that a word? Disappointing relationship with my body when I was young. And that belief stayed with me for a really long time. If I'm being honest, I think there are ways that I'm still deconstructing that. So in 2023, the world is slowly opening up post COVID, and people are excited. They're out there, they're starting to travel. And I too wanted to get out there, except I didn't have a built in travel companion. All of my friends were partnered up, married. I was single, did not have children, and I thought about traveling alone. I actually really enjoy doing things by myself, but something was calling me to travel in community this time. It just so happened that a group that I had become acquainted with throughout the pandemic was traveling to Costa Rica for a spiritual retreat. And this was kind of a big deal because it meant traveling internationally with a bunch of strangers for a whole week. My gut was telling me that it was okay though, so I decided to pull the trigger and go for it. And the first night we get there, everybody is incredibly polite at the welcome dinner. They're minding their P's and Q's. And then the very next morning, we hopped straight into a ziplining excursion. So I learned that about half of the group had been ziplining before and half had not. Well, you know, my relationship with my body, I was definitely in the group that had not done this before. And I was giving myself full permission to bow out. I said, I'm just going to hang back and wait for to see what everybody else does. And if there are other folks that want to bow out, I might join them. But we're at the point in the experience where we're getting suited up with our harnesses and our helmets and our gloves, and nobody is bowing out. So I'm like, okay, I guess I'm doing this. And we get up to the first platform, and I hang back a bit, and folks are getting across without issue. Like, in fact, it looks really fun. They're laughing, they're giggling, even the folks that had never done it before. I mean, just flying across, having a blast. So my confidence is building. And I'm like, okay, like, I think I can do this. So they hook me up, give me the final reminders, push me across, and I freaked out. In fact, I did everything they tell you not to do up there. You're supposed to keep a loose grip so you can make it across the zip line. Nope, I squeezed down. You're not supposed to put your hands behind the pulley. It's actually really dangerous to do that. And that was the only thing within reach while it felt like I was free falling because I just felt so unsupported up there. So, needless to say, I stop smack dab in the middle of this zip line. And the workers there very kindly, very patiently walked me across, pulling myself over the rest of the way. And immediately, I mean, the second I get to that next platform, I begin to profusely apologize. I just want to disappear into the ground because I'm mortified. I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. I think maybe I'm too heavy for this. I think I'm just a little bit too, all of the excuses, right? And the workers there did not pay me any mind. They said, don't worry, you got it. And then I waited for, those condescending pats from strangers that are like, don't worry, you'll get it. Good job, good try. Nope, none of those came either. My world was crumbling. And for everybody else around me, it was such a non issue. There was no way down from the second platform. And so I said, okay, I guess I'm doing this again. Send me across the second time. And this time I got all the way across, which felt like a huge accomplishment, but I forgot to brake in time. So I like slam into the guy on the other end of the platform, and he just kind of laughs and helps me down, gives me a reminder. Well, by the time I get done with the third zip line, I could not believe how easy and how fun that was. Us travelers are standing on the platform for the next zip line, and we realize that it has started sprinkling. And we're wondering if they're going to make us stop the excursion. But if you've traveled to developing countries, they think about safety a lot differently than we do here stateside. So even though it was raining, and technically I think we were supposed to stop, they allowed us to continue. We got to finish ziplining, through the Costa Rican rainforest in the middle of an afternoon shower. And I can't tell you how magical it was. It felt like a scene straight out of Fern Gully, if any of you are old enough to remember that movie. So we finished the excursion, and I am marveling at what an amazing experience this has been. And suddenly I'm overcome with this sadness, this regret, because I realize, oh my gosh, how many of these experiences have I missed out on over the years because I was so married to these limiting beliefs about what my body could do? I've had the privilege of traveling to a few different countries over the last couple years, and every time I do, I know it's divinely guided. And I can say that with my whole chest because when I get back and I reflect on the experience, there is this overarching theme, this like big, beautiful lesson that I get to take home with me as a result of that travel. And in Costa Rica, I came back with the empowering realization that I am no longer afraid to be seen trying. Maybe you, like me, grew up in a family that required for many generations that we be hyper aware of how we're perceived. For a lot of us, it's because there was some degree of discrimination on the other end of that, whether it was related to race or class or socioeconomic status. And so that awareness translated into safety for a lot of us for a lot of years. But this beautiful thing happens as generations and families get older and they have more rich and diverse experiences. Whether we follow in the footsteps of our elders or not, each generation has had more opportunity to explore the ways that we create safety for ourselves within ourselves. If you are interested in story as a form of energy work, and you're ready to explore some of these memories so that you can release what is no longer serving you and make more room for that joy and that freedom we talked about today, visit moderndaymayor.com. There is where you can sign up for the newsletter or book time with me directly. If you have any questions or comments about the episode or story as energy work in general, I would love to hear from you. And lastly, if you enjoyed today's episode, please like, subscribe, and share it with a friend. Thank you so much for being here.